Okay, we're going to disassemble this old Lionel 2026 engine to clean it and lubricate it because it's running a bit rough and not switching from reverse to forward. Start with a 7/32 socket to take off the bolts here on the sides. So this comes right out. Here, I'll put this back here, and you gently lift the arm to the side, and you have your spacer there, and the arm is free. Okay, pop that in there as well. Now your arms are free. Same thing here on the other side. Also going to label the parts left and right, just so that we don't mix anything up. Flipping the train back over, now we're going to take off this screw here on the top, and we're also going to take off the two screws in the bottom. Hard to see here. One is right here, and the other one is right here. With those two screws removed, now we'll take them out here. We're going to be able to gently pull off the front of the engine. Now, when you're taking off the front piece of the engine here where the bulb is, be careful because depending on the orientation, the spring-loaded piece here, which will heat the smoke, may flop out. So just take note of the orientation that sits in and the two channels that it holds it in place. Next step is a pin right in here, runs across, and one side has some threads on it, or grooves rather. We're just going to take a small hole punch and we're just going to pop that right through. Once that pin is out, just kind of leave it there. You should be able to gently coax out the motor assembly. You can see here we've lost one of our connections for the bulb, so I'll have to resolder that later. To make things a bit easier, I'm going to take off the rear set of wheels here just so that I can have better access to the rest of the motor. So that comes off right here with that screw. Take that piece right off. Remember that the bar sits on top just like that. Now, one of the problems we've had here is the directional switcher was not working properly here, and I've noticed that the plate is cracked a little bit right here and slightly bent back, and so I think what's happening is this is not making contact in the down position. So I'm just going to take a Dremel and try to clean off the contact a little bit, and then maybe we'll bend this in a little closer to the plate. Now we'll just take a very thin file, and I can't get the Dremel in here, nor do I want to, and I'm going to just gently file the inside of this connection, make sure that it's not corroded, and then we'll bend it in a little bit. So to bend the piece back in, I just took a pair of needle nose pliers and very gently grabbed on the inside here of this plate and squeezed these two pieces a little closer together, such that now when the piece comes down it makes much better contact with the terminal. So very carefully and without touching anything, we put the motor assembly on the track with the switch in position here. We'll see if this makes any switching sounds or actually works. And it looks like it does with our ZW controller. Here, off, switch, off, and reverse. So now we'll clean the gears, put some more grease on, and reassemble. So we'll just put some lube, a little bit of grease on the gears here. In the process here, remove carpet fibers and anything else. I've already cleaned some out, but looks like there's going to be more as we go around. So now that we have everything greased, we're going to put some oil here, thin oil like this, in the bearings where I don't want to leave it unlubricated, but basically in here and up in here on both sides for each of the 6 wheels to help smooth things. And so that's going to go just like this, just one little drop at each of those points, and then we'll work that in and do all 6 wheels. Now we're going to resolder the connection from the light that I broke off when I disassembled it. I've already stripped off to expose some of the wire here, and we're going to solder it to right back here where it was originally. Okay, so now we're going to take this connection and solder this in place. Put that in place like that. Add a little bit more solder to that just to keep that cleaned up, and then I think we're in good shape. Now we have this soldered back in place here with the wire coming in from the light. All the other wires are still there, and gently tuck this back in place, and now we can begin the reassembly. Basically going to reverse the process. We'll put the engine in back here and then bring this pin down to lock that in place. Make sure that the switch goes into the slot up here, and then we'll start reattaching. So once you have the back end of the motor assembly in place, you're just going to get the notch lined up back here in the frame of the motor assembly with the pin that we had pulled out earlier, and gently slide that down and across, and that'll lock the back piece in place. And we'll push that in all the way in a minute, but then you'll want to come across and check the front, make sure that is in place, and then we will be putting in here the front assembly and what I removed earlier for the spring-loaded piece here. Okay, so now we'll just lay this piece back in, just gently to fit in that slot. We have the grooves that this rests in right here. Now we can lay the front piece back on top. Actually, when I was soldering the light bulb connection, I had the other piece here backwards, so I've reattached it with these 2 screws in the proper orientation, so that now when we have the spring-loaded piece here in the grooves or channels where it belongs, we can slide the bulb in front, and these 2 posts will mate exactly where they need to be, and the gently right in place, just like that. And so the spring-loaded piece is trapped in its channel, and then we'll attach the 2 screws that will go right here and here. You have your trap here, gently turn it over, and we will put the top screw here, right in the top piece. Now that we have the front piece back in place, these 2 screws and the 2 screws down in here, we're going to do the rear wheels that we took off before. Keep in mind, again, that bar stays on top, like so, and that when we come in, to the back, we have to get the bar for the tender coupler through the slot. And then we will line that up right through here. And once that's lined up, I'll put the screw right in that slot there. Now we're going to want to reassemble the pistons on the sides of each set of the 6 wheels in reverse of what we did before. Again, we've labeled them for the left and the right, and so we'll line these pieces up and then put the screw in through the bottom and the other screw in through this wheel. So you can see here we have the piston aligned with the hole here in the bottom. The spring-loaded piece is trapped in this channel, and the slot for the upper arm is in its channel too. Now that's in place, as you can see, and we'll begin reassembly of the arm here. The arm first has the spacer in between, and then the arm goes on top. Screw through that assembly, and that was a 7/32 socket to screw that in place. Okay, not too tight. Same deal here for the other side. I'm going to line these 2 pieces up. Piston in the slot, arm goes up in the front slot above it, lined up with the hole underneath here, and right there we'll screw that in. And now that that is in place, you can see this moves freely. We're going to reattach the arm, and again the washer goes in first, and the screw with the spacer shaft, and line that up. I think we are in good shape. And that is the cleaning and fixing of the 2026. The test. We've got power, and we've heard the switch come on. Shut it off. Hear the switch click again, and then it should go forward. And it does.